Hallelujah. I'm about to shout right now because some of you can take a whole lot more than you used to take because of what you've already taken. Preach, Freddie Haynes. I mean, think about it. I don't want you to shout yet, but it's real tempting to shout. If you start thinking about some of the stuff you went through last year, and just think about if someone had told you 10 years ago that you was going to go through what you went through last year, and you said, ain't no way I'm going to survive it. But between now and 10 years ago, you've been through this and overcome that, and you've learned about this, and you've seen God move here. And as a consequence, your testimony is, if I never had a problem, I wouldn't know God could solve them. I wouldn't know what faith in God could do. But there's something that really gets me about this. The text says he's a man of standing. Uh-oh. I unpacked the word. And it meant he was a man, and you see it later, who had accumulated some wealth. He has some paper. You didn't get it. This is Jay-Z. You know, Jay just became hip-hop's first black billionaire with a B. Jay, how you do that? I ain't had time to memorize this yet, so what I'm going to do is give y'all what Jay did recently. He did this piece that was basically a tribute to Nipsey Hussle. It was fire, too. It was freestyle. Freestyle fire. I'm going to give y'all what Jay said, and please try not to shout, but even though it's very tempting, listen to Jay. He's just freestyling, y'all. He just gets up and starts to freestyle. He says, gentrify your own hood before these people do it. Claim eminent domain and have your people moving. That's a small glimpse into what Nipsey was doing. For anybody that's still confused as to what he was doing, the neighborhood is designed to keep us trapped. They redline us so property declines. If you live by blacks, they depress the asset and take the property back. It's a ruthless but a genius plan, in fact. So now we fighting over scraps, crabs in a barrel, but crabs don't belong in the barrel, and they ain't never tell us that. So in the barrel, we gonna act like we act. We can easily get out the barrel if we stand on each other's back. Whoever gets on top, as long as they stay attached, they gonna pull everybody out. I was doing just that. Boom. Preach, Hove, because what Jay is saying to every one of us that really, watch this, it's God who gives us the power to get wealth. How did Jay get wealth? Jay got wealth because Jay said, I'm not just going to use my talent to make somebody else wealthy, but I'm going to own my masters, because if I own my masters, then you can't be my master. I'm going to come over here because y'all missed your shout. When God gives you a talent, it's all right to monetize what God has gifted you to do and quit getting pimped by other people who make money off of the talent that God has blessed you with. If you don't own your masters, somebody else is your master. Is that right, Sean? Okay. So y'all didn't like Hove. Okay, what about Robert Smith? Robert Smith, brother down in South Texas, Central Texas, goes to Morehouse. And when he gets to Morehouse, does their commencement. And Robert Smith says, here's what I'm going to do. I want y'all to know that everybody in this class who's graduating from Morehouse, this is a black man in case y'all clueless still. Black man said, everybody in this Morehouse graduating class, whatever debt you have, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to clear your debt. And then he said, I want to give a special shout out to God because she is somewhat awesome. I kind of like that right there, because Robert Smith says, I've been delivered from toxic masculinity. And so I can give God a shout out and recognize the feminine side of God. And at the same time, I know God has blessed me to bless somebody else. And that's all I came to let somebody know. God ain't blessing you for it to stop at you. God blesses you so you can turn around and be a blessing to somebody else. You got Jay, you got Robert, you got Lebron. Oh, I like me some Lebron. LeBron ain't in the playoffs, but guess what? He's still playing the game. And because he's still playing the game, folk are upset because he's such an independent thinker. But you can only be independent in your thinking and not trip over the consequences or pushback if you have handled your business economically. And so when you see LeBron James now, who was tutored according to Damian Durr, that brilliant hip-hop specialist, you discover here it is that LeBron was tutored by Jay-Z. And so Jay-Z taught LeBron how to handle money. Y'all missing a shout right here. Jay is a high school dropout. LeBron just got a high school diploma. None of them have a college degree. Why? Because it's an indictment on an education system that instead of educating is determined to train. And so Jay-Z and LeBron went outside of the education system and educated themselves, and they educated themselves into wealth. Now, let me quickly say, I ain't no prosperity preacher. You hear me? I ain't preaching prosperity. I am preaching abundance. I am preaching that God is a God of abundance. I am preaching that Jesus said, I've come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. I'm preaching a God who wants to create just structures and systems so that no one is left behind, but all have an opportunity to fulfill their God-given possibility. That's what I'm preaching. Oh, I wish y'all wouldn't be sitting on me like that. Because let me say this. You ain't gonna never hear me say, money cometh. I ain't saying that. You heard that preacher? There's a preacher who got real popular and made bank because he had a great sermon. No, it wasn't great. A successful sermon. There's a difference between success and greatness. Trump is a success, but he ain't great. And so this successful sermon, here it is, said, money cometh, money cometh, money cometh. It's like you just got to speak it and money will come running to you. That's a mess. That's totally antithetical to Scripture. Scripture ain't never said money cometh. It's an eisegesis of Deuteronomy 8:18 because that's the text that the Scripture is based on. One of your members who don't go here no more had the nerve back in the early 2000s to give me the tape. Pastor, you need to hear this. I heard it and can't believe that they were members of this church because his text was Deuteronomy 8:18. It is God who gives us power to get wealth. Don't miss that right there. God gives us the power to get wealth, not to speak and say money come here, but God gives us the power, gives us the ability, the sense and the strength to use what we have to get what we need in order to become all that God intends for us to become. Ain't no such thing as money cometh. If you want money to cometh, you've got to go to work it, and once you go to work it, you've got to work it, and if you work it, then you make sure that you own your own business is. And if you own your own business is, then guess what? Then money will start to come in, especially when you invest it. And when you invest it because you've gone to work it and you own your own business is, then money will start to come your way. Freddie, you preach it. I sure am. You got that right. Let me go ahead because y'all.